What is up, and welcome back to another episode of Blood and Beer, the show where we talk blood sport and we drink beer. I'm your host, Matt, and as always, we got some MMA to talk. We're going to go over some boxing as well and some beer to drink. Good news, we're up $103 this week. Not as good as it could have been. Tatsuro Taira choked in the 5th round. Whatever, we'll get into that in just a second. Today, we're recapping that card, Taira versus Royval, every fight on there. Year to date, we're up $88.50, so we dig ourselves out of that $15 hole we were in. And we're also going to be looking ahead. Next week, we got a UFC Fight Night, PFL Battle of the Giants. There will be a pick'em later this week coming out. And big news, UFC 310, all the major fights for that card have been announced. Now, without further ado, the beer that we're drinking on today, it's Easy Buckets Blonde from Great Lakes Brewing Company. It's pretty good. It's just a beer. Tastes just like a beer. Alright, but kicking things off, we'll start with the first fight of the night. We had Clayton Carpenter versus Lucas Rocha. And this fight, it was a showcase for Carpenter. They took him out there facing against a guy making his UFC debut, and Carpenter does alright on the feet. They're kind of back and forth a little bit, and then he shoots a blast double and holds him down for most of the first round. He splits his eye open with an elbow with some ground and pound. And then round 2, it's more the same until Carpenter takes Roach's back, gets the rear naked choke, puts him to sleep. They're going to slow build this guy, I think. He could be good someday. I think he's probably not going to crack the top 10, probably not even the top 15, but he could be a good fighter, be around for 8 or 10 fights or so. Next fight we had, this was an early fight of the night contender, Dan Argueta versus Cody Haddon. And this fight was fucking awesome. On the feet, starting out, Haddon's cracking Argueta. And Argueta's throwing some big shots, landing a little bit, but Haddon's just nonstop action with his boxing pressure. Argueta's shooting takedowns, but Haddon's blocking most of them. And if he does go down, he gets right back up. Round 2, Argueta is getting caught just nonstop at the beginning. His chin's really showing off because Haddon lands like 3 big knees throughout the round. Should have dropped him on all 3 of them, but he gets a takedown, Argueta does, holds him down for a second. They go back to the feet, and that's pretty much where the round ends. He's got a chin, though. And then round 3, Haddon's just throwing 4 to 5 punch combinations, and Argueta looks gassed at this point. They both do. They're throwing back and forth. It was a great fight. It was just back and forth. They're swinging fucking bombs, cracking each other the whole time. Dan Argueta, with all the swinging he did, he also shot for 24 fucking takedowns. Now, Cody Haddon, he gets on the mic after because he gets a split decision win. He gets on the mic, and he's hilarious. Can't stop saying the F word. You can tell he's trying to. That kid, he's got a lot more promise than Clayton Carpenter. Not saying Carpenter doesn't. Carpenter's good. But this Haddon guy, he's got some personality, and his fighting style is fun. All right. And then we had Julia Pilastri. She defeated Corey McKenna with a unanimous decision. Outstruck her the whole fight. It was a shitty fight. And then we had Junior Tafa. I forgot to get his opponent's name. But the guy he fought, he stepped in on a week's notice. He was in Vegas for a bodybuilding competition, and this was a fun fight. Tafa's a light heavyweight, they say, and he fights at heavyweight, and this dude that he's fighting was huge. In round 1, they're both swinging bombs. The guy that steps in on a week's notice is just cracking Tafa. He has him hurt really bad, and they're both absolutely gassed by the end of the first round. Round 2, Tafa starts getting some combinations going, and he's completely gassed. Both men are sloppy as hell, but he ends the fight with a barrage of sloppy punches. His opponent just was out of it, could not defend himself properly. It was just they had to step in. They were both too gassed. It wasn't like he got knocked out. It was just exhaustion. It was a bad fight. All right. Next fight, we had Themba Gorimba. He dominated Nico Price everywhere, outstruck him, outgrappled him. It was a dominant performance. He fights smart, like I said in the pick'em last week. Themba Gorimba, guy to bet on because he fights smart. He takes it down when he needs to. He strikes where he needs to. He's got some power. He's got goodness gracious, good technique. He's a total package, but he's like a Bilal. He's going to have that perfect run where he's just getting. Nobody's going to want to fight him because there's no benefit to fighting someone like that. All right, and then this was one of our dogs of the week. Pat Sabatini makes quick work of Jonathan Pierce. JSP gets a round 1 rear naked choke. That's his 12th submission victory, and that's JSP's 4th loss by submission. So got some holes to fill up there, but that was a fun fight. He went out there and was just a lot more powerful. Then we had Ramazan Temirov making his UFC debut. A lot of hype around this guy. They say he's got crazy knockouts, crazy power, crazy technique. He's taking on CJ Vergara. He goes out there and just bullies this dude, beating the shit out of him. Drops him 3 or 4 times in the first round before they call it with a body shot. But, I mean, he's just swinging hooks. No regard for defense at all because he's the only one bringing it. Vergara is tough, but this dude is going to be legit. Going to see if that gas tank holds up the way he throws, but if he can connect, he's putting you out. This dude's got some fucking bricks on his hands. Then we had Grant Dawson. He got a round 2 TKO. He controlled Rafa Garcia the whole time. Levels to this shit. He just levels above him. He outstruck him. He had some nice ground and pound. He had a funny call out on the mic afterwards. So good to Grant Dawson for getting back, not so boringly like he was versus Joe Selecki his last time out. Then we had Daniel Rodriguez and Alex Morono. They went to war also. This could have been fight of the night if the last fight wasn't so goddamn back and forth. But these guys, they're swinging the whole time. Morono comes out hot. He's cracking him in the first round. D-Rod can't get his timing. Round 2, it starts to even up a little bit. D-Rod pulls away, wins that round out striking him. He gets his timing down. In round 3, D-Rod starts off real hot, but Morono starts countering him. And they're just going back and forth until the end. D-Rod actually gets a takedown at the very end of round 3. That might have got him the nod from the judges. He wins a split decision. A lot of split decisions on this card. And then we had Chidi and Njokuani beat the shit out of Jared Gordon for 3 rounds. Just held him up against the cage in the clinch. Unlike Mario Batista, though, he was throwing the whole time. Really worked the body. The knees up the middle. Dude's a Muay Thai specialist, and he got Jared Gooden to fight him in a Muay Thai fight. So screwed my bets, but I'm a big Chidi fan, and he's looking good at 170. His gas tank's holding up. He's able to stuff the takedowns. Gooden just didn't seem to fight a smart fight. He needed to wrestle this dude. This dude's tall, he's long, he's powerful, and he's got good clinch game. So you're not beating him on the feet anywhere. He needed to get the wrestling, and he just didn't do it. He just sucked, is what it is, though. And that leads us to our co-main event of the evening, Jun Young Park versus Brad Tavares. And this was a fun fight. These guys are both cracking. Tavares looked really good in round 1. Iron Turtle always kind of gives up that round. But yeah, Tavares, he's outstriking him. He's avoiding a lot of the strikes that Turtle's throwing back. But round 2, Turtle starts to take it over a little bit. He's outstriking Tavares. He's landing leg kicks. And in round 3, kind of like the Morono and D-Rod, kind of like the Argueta and Haddon fight, these guys just both start swinging. Iron Turtle gets a takedown and finishes in top control. He almost had a rear naked choke at one point. But yeah, great fight there. It was back and forth. Iron Turtle, he's silently just killing everybody in this division. And he's a tough matchup for anyone because he doesn't put himself at risk much, but he's throwing a lot of volume. He's got really powerful top control, and he's hard to take down. So, fun fight, though. Then we had Brandon Royval versus Tatsuro Taira, and this thing was a fucking tidal wave, the way this fight went. So, round 1, we have Royval go out there and outstrike Taira pretty clearly. He's beating him up pretty good in round 1. He's looking real good. And you're like, man, this is not the way Taira wants this fight going. Round 2, completely different story. Early in the round, Taira takes his back and keeps his back for about 4.5 minutes. Just absolutely dominant. Looking for submissions the whole time, landing some shots. Round 3, we go back the other way. Royval starts piecing him up on the feet again, and Taira looks absolutely gassed. He gets dropped by a knee at one point. He's getting effed up. And then round 4 comes out, and you're like, all right, Royval's probably going to finish this because Taira's gassed. Taira takes the back at about 4 minutes left in the round and just rides him out, beating the shit out of Royval this time, going for submissions again. He almost had a rear naked choke a few times. Whoops. Round 5, and you're like, man, if Taira can just get his back, he's going to win this. If Royval keeps it on the feet, he's going to win this. Royval goes out there and he just dominates the round. He outstrikes him on the feet. Taira's throwing back, landing some good shots at the beginning, but Royval starts to run away with it. And then he gets a takedown and even takes Taira's back, holds him there, searching for submissions. He had a really nasty face crank and rear naked choke in at one point that he didn't get finished. But Royval gets the nod by split decision. Tatsuro Taira was so close. If he would have won this, he probably would have fought the winner of the flyweight title fight that it just got announced, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But he would have gotten the shot after that one, and he drops it. Royval showing he's still the number one contender. He's beaten Brandon Moreno. He's beaten Kai Kara France. He's beaten Tatsuro Taira. Only people he's lost to is Pantoja, really. And yeah, he's calling for another title shot. I think it'll be their third fight, though, and Pantoja beat him both times, so who really wants to see that? That's what we had for that UFC card. Like I said, we were up $103, $88.50 on the year. Not huge profits, but we're clawing our way out of some sticky situations there. And this week's card coming up, it's a dog shit one, and we're gonna do good because we do good on these dog shit cards. As you can see, we only profited 100, but if Taira could have held it together, man, it would have been sick to have had that 400 profit. But we'll move into the boxing world. We got Artur Beterbiev. He took on Dmitry Bivol, and this fight was fun as hell, I thought. I mean, it wasn't the best boxing match in the world, but it was a good one. I thought Bivol was pretty dominant at the beginning of the fight, up until round 7 or 8 when Artur Beterbiev started turning it on. And as far as a fight goes, I think that Beterbiev won the fight, but in a boxing match, it's not a fight. It's a score system. Bivol looked like he won it 8-4 pretty clearly. I had the last 4 rounds going to Beterbiev. But yeah, it was an awesome fight. The judges give it to Beterbiev by majority decision. Not one guy had it for Bivol. So I think the power punches really swayed them. It wasn't about how much you landed. It was about how much damage those lands did. And Beterbiev was definitely doing more damage with his shots. In this card, the main event was free on ESPN+. You don't see that with undisputed world championship fights anymore. Boxing is so corrupt, so money hungry, and Turki Al-Sheikh comes in. He's got too much money. He doesn't know what to do with it, so he puts it on ESPN for free. He wants to grow boxing, grow the fan base. Shout out Turkey for saving boxing, bringing Dana White in. They're doing something big 2025, I can tell. What if they're going to do a HBO type thing, how HBO is just the platform, but on Netflix, Dana White runs it, just like how the UFC is. Maybe some pay-per-views, maybe not, but man, a lot of options there, especially with the ice cream truck just went by outside. A lot of options there with the Netflix deal coming up that we assume the UFC is going to be making. All right, so that's what we have for this past weekend's events. Next weekend, we got PFL Battle of the Giants. We got Francis Ngannou taking on Renan Ferreira. We got Chris Cyborg versus Larissa Pacheco. AJ McKee versus Paul Hughes. And it's a $50 pay-per-view that's probably going to sell less than 50,000 units. So do with that what you will. It might even be hard to find an illegal stream online because nobody's going to be watching this. But that's what's going on with PFL next week. If you hadn't heard, which you probably hadn't because they suck at marketing. UFC Fight Night's also going down next weekend. Not a great card, but we're going to make some money on it, and there will be some good fights. We got Fluffy Hernandez. He's taking on Michel Pereira. It's going to be a good fight. And for UFC 310, just last night they announced some big fights. We got Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. We got Alexandre Pantoja versus Asakura. Goodness, Asakura. He's a rising champion. He's fought the best. He's fought Manel Kopp. He's fought Kyoji Horiguchi. He's split fights with both those men. He's coming over, making his UFC debut, fighting for the flyweight title. That's going to be fucking awesome. And then we got Vicente Luque. He's fighting none other than Nick Diaz, making his UFC return from that odd showing with Robbie Lawler a few years back. Aljamain Sterling versus Movsar Evlob is on that card as well. We got Anthony Smith taking on Dominic Reyes. Rounding things out, we got Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkov 2. So, Volkov surging. Gane's been out for a minute since that John Jones loss. We're going to have to see where he's at. I can't wait for this card. 310, not next weekend's. I can wait for it, but we're going to make some money. I'll see you on the Pick'em this week. Thank you for tuning in. This has been Matt with Blood and Beer, and I'm sorry I'm so damn intense. I just love this fucking sport.